Hello and welcome to my channel and welcome to Once Upon a Time and my thoughts on episodes 6, 7, 8 and 9. And we're going to start with episode 6 because I've got a lot of, well, not a lot of questions, but a few questions that require deep analysis. So, episode 6, Tallahassee, dealt with Emma and Hook up in the giant's kingdom at the top of the beanstalk, but also dealt with Emma's backstory and Henry's origin story, and we see Henry's dad and how that relationship blossomed. And there was 3 complicated questions, which were: what did I think of Neil? What did August show Neil in the box that convinced him? And what were my views about August's behaviour at the end when he was talking to Neil regarding the car and the money? Very, very complicated and very intertwined. Let's try and sort this out. So, first of all, Neil was a great character. I really liked him. He meant well. He truly did love Emma. And yeah, he was an all-round sort of decent guy, but he was a career criminal. And he showed, even though he was trying to offer Emma some sort of stability in life, marriage and kids, and, you know, moving away to Canada or maybe Tallahassee, I don't think he ever once mentioned about giving up crime, giving up stealing. And that wasn't going to be a good environment for Henry or Emma. Even in our world, even when you can take Storybook out of the equation, it's still not a good environment. It was sort of hinted at during the episode that Neil wasn't exactly a great criminal. He already had a warrant for his arrest hanging over him. So it was only going to be a matter of time before he ended up in prison himself. Aside from that, he was leading Emma down a path that was going to lead her away from her destiny. So yeah, I liked him as a person. I thought he was a great character, but I agree with August. He needed to be removed for Emma to move on in her mission, even if she didn't know it at the time. So what did August show Neil that convinced him so quickly? I mean, so quickly, instantaneously, the moment Neil looked in the box. And I can't think what it could be, because Neil, as I said, is a career criminal, so he's seen the grittier, the lower and the more desperate side of life, and that, I can only assume, is going to make him somewhat of a skeptic. And yet he was convinced instantly. So it has to be more than something that could be put down to a trick of the extremely poor lighting that they were under at the time, or wishful thinking, an overactive imagination, or even just that he was dealing with a crazy person, because they had only just met. August could have been absolutely anybody. So something magical, and well, I can't think what it could be, because I went back and had a look, and Pinocchio came through the portal only having the clothes he was wearing. So it has to be something that either he had in his pocket or it's from our world. So, but it has to be so convincing. It has to be something like Tinkerbell tap dancing with a 3-inch unicorn. it has to be that sort of amazing to convince Neil just like that. I think I'm going to be disappointed in the reveal, because I don't think it can live up to its own hype. Just afterwards, just after he shows him whatever's in the box, August says, I'm going to tell you a story, and at the end of it you're going to have to make a decision about whether to do what's right or not. I'm wondering how much hinges on the story that August told Neil, the way that he told it. I've no doubt that Neil was the one that told the police about where to find Emma and proper stitched her up, but I think he done it under August's instruction, and I think August was probably doing the right thing. She did need to be away from Neil in order to follow her destiny. She did need that sort of time out, as it were. I'm not sure prison was completely the best place, and of course August couldn't have known that she was pregnant at the time. And then of course August goes and steals the money, but he did say he wasn't perfect. He did say this world is full of temptations and he's not made to resist. Doesn't excuse it. On the whole, I really liked this episode. Anyway, yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk, which I didn't really focus on in the reaction. Obviously, Hurley, the guy that played Jack, not Jack, the guy that played the giant, was lost on me. Pun possibly intended. I don't watch Lost, so I can't say for how good the actor is. He certainly was good in that scene where Emma had him locked in under the cage, and he recanted the story of Jack the Giant Killer and the war between the humans in a slightly different way. And I was convinced that the giant side of the story was in fact the accurate side. Yeah, I don't think the giant proved himself to be compassionate and quite humane in the end. So yeah, I completely believe his side of the story. Yeah, on the whole, I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the twist, the fact that we was getting the Enchanted Forest in the present and sort of our world, but in the past, which, and you know, is completely the reverse of what we're used to. And I liked the little references to other works of fiction, like the poppy bomb that Mulan gives to Emma to knock out the giant. Kind of reminded me of Wizard of Oz, although sort of poppy powder has always been used as a sleeping powder, obviously because it's an opiate. Also liked the parallel between Dreamy's story and this story, Emma and Neil's story, about, well, people from the outside interfering with their relationship for the greater good. And yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. Like, I always felt like Dreamy's relationship with Nova was, well, innocent. It wasn't affecting anything, and it was broken up for no apparent reason whatsoever. Whereas at least this was broken up for what turned out to be good reason. And we also get the reveal that Neil is in fact the person from New York that got the postcard. But he hasn't turned up in Storybook yet. So what's going to happen when, well, Neil comes back and meets up with Emma again? And is he going to tell her what August did? And how is Emma going to receive that news? Is she going to see it the same way as maybe August intended it? I think sparks are going to fly in that episode if that ever happens. I mean, he's got the postcard, we know that. He's aware that the curse has been broken. But as of yet, no sign of him. Let's move on to Child of the Moon. Yes, an episode about control over the darker sides of our psyches. And it's a subject that always fills me with fascination. So, I really understand Red's dilemma in this episode, or Ruby's, should I say, because we get both sides. We go into the past of the Enchanted Forest, where we learn about Red's control since she found out she was the wolf and how she's learnt to control it. And we get to meet Anita, Red's mother. So Granny lied. Granny's a big fat liar. Don't trust Granny. And we get to meet Quinn as well. And the whole scene, the underground werewolves in hiding, the small community, it reminded me of Interview with the Vampire, in the scene where Brad Pitt's vampire, I can't remember their names now, Brad Pitt's vampire meets up with Antonio Banderas' group of vampires in Paris. The episode also reminded me of American Werewolf in London, especially the ending where Red is cornered and the townsfolk are after her blood. And we also have, well, to be quite honest, a new low in bad tactics in the multi-dimensional war that is going on between Prince Charming and King George, or should I say David and Spencer, where Spencer basically he kills Gus in order to frame Ruby, and all that just in order to discredit David as the acting sheriff. And then he burns Jefferson's hat when he's cornered and defeated, just out of spite. Yeah, a completely new low in behaviour. I expect nothing less of King George, though. It does bring up how many kingdoms are there in the Enchanted Forest, or should I say how many kingdoms were there in the Enchanted Forest, because there does seem to be a lot of kings. We had King Leopold, but that's the kingdom that Regina inherited, I assume. Yeah. We've also got King George, we've got King Midas. So how many other kings are we going to see, and princes and princesses? That was just a thought. But yeah, Spencer's act of destruction on Jefferson's hat was all in vain, because of course we know that Aurora and Henry have a way of communicating through the nightmare. And we also find out that the nightmares are caused by poison apple, and they all have the same nightmares, and so it's almost like it's another realm. If you've eaten of the poisoned apple, you get transported, or you get access to this dream world, nightmare world. Something like that, maybe. Because of course we later see it with David in the next episode. Yeah, when I think about it, it was rather a brutal episode in conceptual terms. I mean, we had, as I said, Spencer, how low can you go? We had Red's darker side and her lack of control, because she was very afraid that she was going to lose control. It was, on the whole, a nice side story. It had very little to do with the main plot, apart from that very end scene where we see Aurora and Henry communicating. But a nice distraction. But into the deep, we get back into the main story. But I kind of thought it, as far as plot goes, it kind of fell off a little bit for the next couple of episodes, especially the next episode, Into the Deep. I thought that was below average for what I've been expecting. I wouldn't say it was a bad episode. I was just slow. Yeah, Into the Deep just seemed to be more about their ability to communicate across the void, and David going under, which was, I'm not entirely sure whether that was the best plan, but yeah, Regina making a sleeping potion to help David go into the dream state in order to communicate with Snow. Some of the most dramatic scenes were with David trying to break through into the room of fire, I thought, anyway. To be quite honest with you guys, that's all I wrote down for this episode. So much was invested in the David going into the sleeping nightmare thing and communicating with Henry that there was very little for anything else in the episode. Look, that's all I wrote. So let's move on to the Queen of Hearts, where things really start getting hot under the collar. Like, how did I not guess that Cora was going to end up being the Queen of Hearts? I virtually said it in the introduction to the reaction. Literally, I virtually said Cora is the Queen of Hearts, and yet that's not what I meant. And when she was revealed, I was just so surprised. And why would I be? Is she the Queen of? Has she always been the Queen of Hearts? Is she the Queen of Hearts that sent Jefferson? Of course she is, because she needed to get back. It all makes sense now. She sent Jefferson mental, making hats and trying to get them to work so she could get back, reunite with Regina for revenge and things. Yes, and we also find out that that Regina gave Hook the power to take one heart, a single heart. Intending it for Cora, it didn't work, and he later used it on Aurora, didn't he? Okay, controlling her. I'm so surprised that it took him so long to get the squid ink clue, that it was in the parchment all along. That annoyed me a little bit. It's a niggle, it's a tiny niggle, but how did they not see that? Let's talk Regina. Now, she teamed up with Rumpelstiltskin to create a barrier to stop Cora getting through, that would kill anyone that came through, on the assumption that it was going to be Cora. She ended up trusting in Henry, breaking the magic that she'd put on there, to what looked like great personal pain to herself, and allowed Emma and Snow to get out of the Enchanted Forest and back into Storybook. Whether she deserves gratitude or thanks, I actually think so. Yes, it was her cause, but yet again she was manipulated by Rumpelstiltskin. She shouldn't have been. She should have known better. But in the end, she did trust Henry's judgment. Yeah, Henry asked her, trust me. Asked her to trust him. And she did. She broke the curse. they came through, and then she was totally ignored. Now, do I think she deserves thanks? Maybe not, but I think Henry should have shown her some sort of gratitude and acknowledgement that she had believed in him and she had trusted him in the end. It was still undecided at the point where she made the decision whether it was going to be Cora, but she made that decision and was ready to face whatever consequences. I know the townspeople aren't ready to trust her just yet. I'm glad Henry is, and I'm glad that they had some sort of meaningful communication after that event and after in the cafe. Whether they should have invited her for pizza, I thought they should have done at the time, but on reflection, no. Probably she needs to do a lot more before she's one of the gang. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. My two favourite scenes, though, dramatic as they were for this episode, were the refilling of Lake Nostros and the materialisation of the pirate ship at the end, which was awesome. Now, I was wondering how they were going to get around the Lake Nostros problem, because the last time we saw it, there was only a snail shell of water left, and that was used to, well, that was used to cure Snow White of her infertility curse. But Cora regenerated it, rejuvenated it, and in so doing rejuvenated Hook's magic bean. So Cora's coming through. Well, Cora's come through. The ship materialised in grand fashion. Grand fashion. But how? I don't remember seeing Hook's ship anywhere in the Enchanted Forest, although it could have been. I could be wrong on that. Maybe we did. I thought he got it from Neverland, so I thought maybe they went to Neverland first. Is Neverland a land of magic or without magic? I don't know how the rules work. So anyway, maybe Hook is just so magically enchanted that his ship just goes wherever he is, as I think someone suggested in the comments, and I really like that explanation. Actually, I like the fact that, yeah, that his ship is somehow magically attached to him, that it will always be at port somewhere close by. Yeah, I like that explanation. I hope that turns out to be the right one. If not, it's going to be very ordinary. But yeah, episode 10 is going to start with Cora coming into Storybook, I assume, and all hell is going to break loose. I mean, are we going to see some sort of epic fight? The kind of which we haven't seen since Regina and Maleficent fought. I'm thinking of the Disney cartoon when the Evil Queen and Maleficent fought, and it was awesome, the shape-changing bits. I hope we see that on Once Upon a Time. Thank you for watching this, my thoughts on Once Upon a Time, episodes 6 to 9. 6 through to 9. Intending it for Regina, for Cora. I will get these names right in a minute. Interview with the Vampire ended a lot less happy, though. So, shut up, Keith. Saving Snow and Emma from the curse that she put on it, on the well. I didn't explain that very well. Regina and Maleficent. Oh god, I thought I was never going to have to say that name again. The refilling of Lake Nostros. Oh, I need a drink. I'll bid you goodbye. Until next time.